Well, thank you, Max. And we're going to spend the last few minutes here kind of walking through the rest of this form and just giving you a little bit more information. As Max pointed out, at the top of the form, there's a checkbox for you to say, yes, I will take that challenge. Now, can everyone grab one of the forms? They're in the middle of the tables. Everybody have them. Hold them up. I want to see in the back. You guys have them? Hold them up. Is everyone? Okay, so we have them. Now, there's one per church, so you can fill out one per church. Everyone needs to fill one out, even if you're not going to check yes, because we're going to go over. We actually have a gift bag at the end for everybody, and whether you check this or not. So please make sure you fill this out. But if you're saying yes, we're going to do the challenge. We're asking you to put a target there. Now, again, Max, 10% is sort of our average. We tell people. Max's church actually did 15%. We had a church. Last week, we were in San Jose, the Journey Church. They have 150 people that attend on a Sunday morning. They have sponsored 100 children already. So, use some faith here. I know we have some people that just take a moment, pray about it, ask God what that number is. But tonight, and the reason having this number is important, Max held up that the picture folder. This is going to help us determine how many of these we send you. So it's really important for that. Also, tonight, we ride a bus together. We're actually 3 bunks up. I'm on the top bunk. Max is on the bottom bunk. 2 weeks ago, I fell out of the top bunk and landed on Max, and I think I'll probably be in a future book. So be looking out for that. But we actually share these stories. And these are encouraging to us, and we have them, and we're passing them around, and we're looking at them, and thanking God and praising God for you. So that'll help us out. Now, there's something that we have. If your church is thinking in terms like this, if you sponsor 25 children, we have a thing called block sponsorship, which allows you to sponsor all the children from one community. And Max's church, that's what they did. They chose one community, and so all the kids are there. They can kind of concentrate on that one area. So if you're thinking, hey, we would kind of want to go the block sponsorship, it's 25. You can just write block next to it. It'll help us to know that. And then second, or actually third on here is the date. And again, the Outlive Your Life weekend is November 14th and 15th. As you can see, the church we just talked to, they did it last weekend. Some churches are doing it the first few weekends in December. That's flexible. But you can either check that weekend or you can write a date in. Now, we'd encourage you to write a date down, and the date can change. If you have to go back and make some movement on it, that's fine, but we're trying to get an idea of when that would be. And then, of course, all the rest of the information is important. And make sure, especially under the cell phone and email, that those are written clearly. As you kind of think about the math of this, by the end of this, we're going to have 1,000 churches like you that have raised their hand and said, we're going to do this. Well, we've got to contact them all, and we've got to arrange all this. So please give us the best number to reach you and to contact you. And again, make sure we have your email address clearly on the form. It'll help us to move forward with that. So if you could go ahead and fill this out, and then we're going to come back to this at the very end. I want to just spend a few moments on giving you some information. Why World Vision? Now, I want to let you know, I've been a pastor for over 20 years. We launched a church in Sacramento about 15 years ago called Bayside. And in the middle of that, God did some incredible things at Bayside. And yet, in the middle of all that, God spoke to me and said, I want you to take what you saw happening in our church and take it to churches around the country. And what happened at our church was God began to really kind of push us to caring about the poor and doing missions around the world. And so as I began to kind of follow through, I had actually another organization approach me and said, hey, we want you to come and do what I'm doing for World Vision for them. And I decided I was going to go and look at all the organizations and line them up and find out which one best fit kind of the calling God gave me. And I landed on World Vision. And as soon as I studied World Vision, I landed here. And I want to just kind of tell you why I made that decision. One of the things that's really important to me about World Vision is child-focused. We have child sponsorship, so you connect one-on-one with that child, but it's also community-focused. And here's where the big difference is. When you sponsor a child, not only do you sponsor that child, but the child sponsorship helps lift the entire community. And I'll give you an example of this. When Max and I were in Ethiopia, we went to a community that had a lot of problems with a disease called trachoma. It's an eye disease, and it's caused by flies actually spread it. When you see the pictures of the flies landing on kids' eyes, and if you do not treat trachoma, it ultimately will lead to blindness. And in this community that World Vision was launching into, there were 10,000 cases of trachoma. Now imagine if all those advance, or even half of those advance to the stage where they cause blindness. What kind of social issues are going to surface with half the adult population being blind? And so World Vision, because when you sponsor a child, we don't just go in and say, we're going to make sure the sponsored child doesn't have trachoma. We want to make sure every child in the entire community is rid of the disease. And so we set up a program to help teach hygiene that would help treat trachoma. And it's basically, if you wash the face very well every day, you can actually get rid of trachoma. And once you get rid of trachoma in a community, it will be gone forever. You can destroy it from the entire community. It's like malaria. And so Max and I went back 3 years after they started this massive campaign toward trachoma, and they did a survey of the community, and the entire community, and they only found 3 cases of trachoma. Sponsorship was making it possible that trachoma would be actually dealt with and pushed out of this community. And it was just $35 a month that would help do that. And it's like that everywhere we go. When we go to a community, it's not just the sponsored child that gets to go to school. We build schools so everyone goes to school. The other thing that's part of this is we have a plan, a 15 to 20-year plan when we go into community that we're going to leave the community one day because we're not just giving them a fish. We're teaching them how to fish. It's community development. And that's one of the biggest reasons I just said World Vision's it for me. The second thing about World Vision is World Vision partners with churches. And what's interesting about this, World Vision doesn't partner with one church. We partner with all the churches. So in every community I've gone to, we gather all the pastors. And it's a room like this, 50, 100. And many of them, for the first time, are coming together. And they meet regularly. There's training, education. And so we're empowering the church to be the church. World Vision is not the church, but we can empower and train and equip and resource the church. I was in the Dominican Republic this summer, and I met with some pastors and was hearing their stories. And I met a pastor. He was the pastor of the Light of the World Church. He told me, before World Vision, we were only concerned about the inside walls of our church and the people that went to our church. World Vision came in and did training on holistic ministry. He said, we began to reach out into our community. He said, this weekend at our youth outreach, there'll be 500 teenagers. He goes, it's like a revival's breaking out. It all started when World Vision came in and trained us on holistic ministry. And that's our model. We work through churches. We empower the church. We equip. We provide resources, Sunday school material, training, Bibles. I was in one community in Kenya, and World Vision bought a PA system that any church could check out and do these roadside revivals. And we were kind of like the provider of the sound. And so they'd check this out, and they'd go connect it, and they'd do these tent meetings, and people would become Christians. The community that Max and I went to in Ethiopia, since World Vision started there, 27 new churches have been launched in that community. So this commitment to working through and with churches. And then finally, it's because of child sponsorship. And I believe in child sponsorship. Why child sponsorship? Well, number one, it's relational. You have a connection one-on-one with a child somewhere around the world. And we have several children. My kids know them all by name. They pray for them. I have 4 boys. So my wife has said, when we're sponsoring, we're going to sponsor girls. And so they call them their sisters. And there's this connection. And when I went to Uganda, I met Pasca and her family. And Pasca is 16 years old, and she is the head of household. She's raising her 4 brothers and sisters. And so we've partnered with them. We pray for them. We're helping them now to build a house in their community. And my kids, this last year for Christmas, we were talking about what we were going to do for Christmas. And I said to them, what about this year, instead of us spending money on us, what if we spend it on someone else? And instead of getting any presents, we just gave it to someone else. And they go, no way, Dad, we want the presents. And so I got rid of those kids and got new kids. And no, actually, it took a little while for them all to get on board, but they all finally said, let's do it. And so we took the money we would have spent on ourselves, And at Christmas morning, we came around the Christmas tree, and we just had a picture of this family. We read the Bible story. We prayed for them, and we're building a house for them. And this is this one-on-one personal connection. And, our world's becoming smaller. You go to the bank, and you make a call to your bank there, and you talk to somebody, but they're not here. Where are they? They're in India or somewhere. There's globalization. The world's becoming smaller, and sponsorship helps you connect individually, one-on-one with someone around the world. Not only is that, it helps involve your entire congregation. From my 13-year-old Jacob to the blue-haired old lady in the choir, everyone can participate. There's not an age barrier that doesn't happen. And so my sons, they pray for these kids. They get to know them. We have a little map downstairs on the wall where we have like pins where our kids are located and little things about. We have their letters. We have information about the country. They're getting to learn about it. The other great thing about sponsorship, it can come along existing programs. If you have missionaries in a country, we probably have work in that country, and so you can have children sponsored in the country where you're working. It also is a great first step for your church in a long-term relationship with a community. And a lot of churches do that. They'll start a long-term relationship in the community. They'll get to go visit that community. And then finally, one of the great things about sponsorship, in a sense, it really costs nothing to your church budget. When people sponsor children, it's outside of the regular offering and giving. And it'd be interesting, if you did a survey of your congregation, guess what? People in your church sponsor children. It happens. But it's great when you can concentrate as a church an effort, especially in this block sponsorship. It's really powerful. And you guys can get updates on the community, and you can visit the community. There's all kinds of great things that you can do as part of that. So child sponsorship is the way to go. Well, we're gonna move along in the program here, and if you have your form filled out, at the very end we've got a great gift we want to give you, and I want to share with you what is inside of this gift. First of all, we have Max's new book, Outlive Your Life, the hardcover edition. I know some of you got the soft cover here. This is the final edition. That's in the bag, and then we have a great DVD-based small group kit. And this is a kit that's got a DVD, a study guide that you can use in your small groups. Great resource there. And then we have more of an all-church campaign. This is another DVD by Lifeway. And in this, there's DVDs. There's another study that you can do like a 6-week campaign with your church. And then this is one of the great ones here. How many of you have youth ministries in your church? There is a youth version of, it's called Made to Make a Difference. And this is a 6 DVD set. There are printable group guides in here. There's some downloadable interactive videos you can download. Max does this along with his daughter Jenna, and Jenna was the one that went with us on this trip. Great resource for your high schoolers. And then finally, we have a great book here. Toby Mack is on this tour, and it's called Sitting on Our Knees. It's just released. And this is a great book. And, of course, the lovely World Vision gift bag. It all comes in. So everyone's going to get that. We'll have those. We'll explain to you how to get those on the way out. But right now, what I'd like to do, if you check that box, we want to give you some resources. You heard the pastor on the phone say World Vision provided him with resources and DVDs, and some of you are saying, where do I get those? Well, if you raise your hand right now and say, we checked the box, we're going to hand you this kit. So just go ahead and raise your hand if you check the box, and we've got volunteers in the back. They're going to be running down and giving you this kit, and we're going to kind of walk you through some of the resources that are available to you to be able to help you do this Hope Sunday. And I'm going to invite up here Dana Fay. Dana is one of our church advisors that works in this area, and Dana's going to walk you through this, and we'll continue. So, Dana?